Hello learners, here I am back with a new topic, consumer purchase decision process. We all have been consumers one time or the other, and we always have our own behavioral pattern while we want to buy something. Some of us, in fact most of us, are very fussy when we want to buy any product. And the toughest part is the consumer behavior and the satisfaction of the consumer. Well, Philip Kotler always says marketing is all about retaining the consumer, and that is what is the toughest part of any marketer. I am Dr. Lila Simon, Professor, the Department of Management, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Once again, welcome to this session on consumer purchase decision process. There are a lot of models in consumer behavior, of which we find this is the most easiest one. Any decision process basically has 5 stages. These are being reduced and summarized as the 5 major stages. The first of its kind is problem recognition. The second is information search, which is followed by alternative evaluation, and then comes the decision for any purchase to happen. The last one, but the most important one, is the post purchase behavior. Let us discuss each one of them one by one. As we said, need recognition. When I want to buy a product, there has to be a need that is aroused. So, you call it as a need arousal. We identify that there is a need of a particular product. So, what is more important is you will put it in a word like perceiving a need. I need a pen to write. It's until and unless I don't have a need, the need has not been aroused, I would not think about buying. I need a mobile. When I think about, oh, I am not able to perform any further activity, or I need this gadget for any work that I have to do, that is where you think about that particular need, and the need is being recognized, which is followed by, now what do we normally do when we are in search of a product? We just Google to find out what are the reviews. But while we are looking at the reviews, what are we doing? Silently, we are seeking the value for that particular product. In fact, when I am paying the money to buy something, me as a consumer is expecting that I should be given, or I should get the value for the money that I am paying, because when you define the product says it is a bundle of benefits. That is how the consumer looks at any product. So, we have 2 broad heads under the information search. One is the internal search and the other one is the external search. What is this internal search? Me at home as a family member, or my close relatives and friends do tell me about a particular product, or many a times I myself have an experience with respect to a particular product, maybe good or bad, and that helps me out to sort out what kind of a product I would want to buy or I would not want to, right. Then what is external search? When I am not satisfied with whatever be the internal search, or I do not get sufficient satisfaction or the information that I wanted for buying the particular product, then I go for what is known as the external search. What are the various sources through which we do this search? It could be, as I have already said, personal sources where I am making use of my relatives and friends. It could be some public sources like consumer reports, government agencies, or could be, and what is more important, in a very layman's language, if I said, all that I do is search for the reviews, what a consumer who has already purchased that particular product speaks about that product, right. So, it is all online. There are also marketer dominated sources where the sellers do write about the product, like how do they, what is their perception about the particular product. There could be an advertising which could trigger need arousal. However, the trigger part is very important. That is how, as I said, a need is being recognized. Could be the company's website or the sales persons, whoever. So, there are various sources through which this search can be done. The third part is alternative evaluation. If I want to buy a mobile, so I have got maybe brand A, I have a brand B, I have brand C, I have brand D. I am just not naming the brand. Now, I want to buy a mobile and there are 4 sets of brands that comes in front of me. There could be some more brands, like I have a few more brands, but what is important is I have thought that the buying has to happen from among these 4 brands. There would be certain more brands which I am aware of, but I do not want to buy it. Could also be certain brands which are existing and I am not aware of those brands. So, there are a lot many sets, of which I have identified that these 4 are the brands from which I need to make a choice of my buying. So, this is what I have to evaluate now. I cannot buy all these 4. Now, I have to segregate one out of it. This 4 brands which I have separated, wherein I have a mindset, yeah, it is okay, I would buy A or B and okay for C and D as well. That is what is known as the consideration set. Also call it as the evoked set, right. So, from this consideration set, I am going to consider one set of this brand. How do I evaluate it? I may evaluate it according to my need, not necessary the evaluation of me would be the same as somebody else's evaluation, because my priority and my utility of that particular product will be different than somebody else's utility of that particular product. I may not be wanting a good camera, but I may be wanting a good storage. I may not be wanting to afford high price. So, there may be a certain list in which I can always go in for the evaluation process, wherein I would consider one among. So, I say suppose B is one which fits me with the price, with the kind of the brand, with the kind of the attributes that the product is giving me as per my requirement and so on. So, this evaluation of the entire brands to conclude for a buying process is very, very important. Now, there some of them may look at the objective attributes and some may look at the subjective ones. This is going to be very situational and vary from one consumer to the other. So, that needs to be not taken at a generic way, it would vary from one consumer, and so this is a big challenge for the marketeers to make the product available to the best satisfaction of the consumers. The fourth of the stage comes as the purchase decision. Now, this is where the consumer has finally decided to buy this product. Now, there are certain choices in this case also where the buyer starts thinking about from whom to buy and when to buy. This is again depending on the consumers. From there may be dealer A, there may be dealer B. I want to buy a car from dealer A, and maybe there would be certain reasons for why I am opting for a dealer A. I may think that the dealer A is giving me lot of features added up free of cost. Maybe suppose in the case of a car, a small segment car, if somebody is giving me a seat car cover and then is giving me a music system, there is nothing wrong about it. So, or if he is a very good the dealer or the salesperson is very good and is just looking at my need as one to one. So, and I feel very comfortable getting into their their dealership room, and the way they are taking care of me. All that could matter, and that depends on person to person. And when to buy again, is it as an occasional buying that I'm going to, am I going to wear like certain brands which maybe I am a brand loyal person, wherein I would want to buy only from a particular brand, and those brands when it is a new launch could be very expensive. I can wait for a for some kind of offers of the festivals, unlike the brand switchers who would definitely get into buying because for them the product is more important, and for me maybe the brand is more important. So, the choices of from where to buy and when to buy is also very important as far as the fourth stage of the purchase decision is concerned, because that is actually giving the consumer the buying value. The last and the very important the stage is post purchase decision. Now, this is where the consumer starts connecting with the value for the money that he has invested into it. Right, and this is a case when he buys a product, many a times he would be a satisfied customer, or he can also be a dissatisfied consumer. How does it happen? Now, many a times when I buy a product, the product there are certain perceptions and expectation of me as a buyer. Now, every expectation of mine is if fulfilled, then I am a satisfied consumer. On the other hand, there may be certain parameters on which I was not satisfied, and then I feel that whatever the money I have invested, the product is not giving me the value for that money, and hence I become a dissatisfied consumer. Now, how important is this post purchase decision? It is important because the marketeers need to be very particularly observing this part, because most of the time if the consumer goes dissatisfied, he would take up what is known as verb, the word of mouth. The word of mouth of the consumer can actually bring down the position of the product in the market. So, if we are talking about the marketing, the segmenting, the targeting and the positioning part of the product, the positioning can happen only when a product is talked very good about its good features by a consumer who is very much satisfied. Many a times there is always flaw in taking care of this part, and that is the reason some wrong information being communicated can bring about a loss in the establishment or in the expansion of or in the market growth of that particular product. So, we look at getting back to what are the 5 stages that we have discussed up to now. There are many consumer buying decision models, of which this is one very easy and very commonly used model. So, the process of any decision in a purchase by a consumer has 5 basic stages. The first one is recognition. I have recognized that there is a need, that I need this particular product. So, that is the problem recognition, or you call it as the need recognition. Followed by, once I recognize my need, I will start on to find and search what is this product, or what is the view of the other users with regard to these product. followed by, now I have come to a conclusion that these are the products among which I need to buy one product. So, that is the process of the evaluation. So, it is alternate evaluation. I keep, I have got 4 or 5 options and I keep evaluating, oh, this is better from this for this matter. And ultimately, I come to a conclusion that this one product is the best which suits me for whatever the brand or maybe the attributes or features, whatever be the reason for that matter. And then I decide on, of course, I am going to buy this particular. So, that is what is known as the purchase decision. And followed by is how a consumer will react once he has purchased. So, very important part for the marketeers is the post buying behavior of the consumer, because if a consumer is not, because retaining the consumers, you wanting the consumer to come back and keeping up a sustainable relationship is very, very challenging, and that is very important as part of the marketeers. I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you.